Hey everyone, it's me, Chef T from the Sylvia Center. We're a nonprofit organization that teaches hands-on food and nutrition skills to young people in New York City and Columbia County. And today, in honor of Cinco de Mayo, I'm going to make a spicy Mexican black bean dip. This dip is really flexible. We can eat it with tortilla chips and veggies. And we're gonna actually make our own tortilla chips today too. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Our ingredients for this recipe are a can of black beans that I just drained and rinsed. I've got an avocado. I have 1 clove of garlic, but if you love garlic, you could always add more. I've got a lime. You could always use bottled lime juice if you didn't have a fresh one. And I have some cilantro, chili powder, and ground cumin. So, what I'm going to use to bring this all together today to turn it into a creamy black bean dip is my food processor. But if you didn't have a food processor, you could do it in a blender, or you could even really mash it by hand. You would have a chunkier dip, but it would still be super delicious. So I love the use of avocado to make this dip really creamy, because a lot of dips and snacks are really high in fat, and a lot of that comes from things like sour cream and cheese and mayonnaise. So this dip doesn't have any of those things, it's just a little bit lighter. If you love avocados and guacamole, then I would say you should definitely try to make this dip. So the first thing we're going to do is throw some ingredients in our food processor. It comes together super easily. I just have a little handful of fresh cilantro. I have my very kind of small avocado. So normally for this size recipe I would use a half of an avocado, but because this guy is so tiny and because I love avocado so much, I'm going to use the whole thing. So I will scoop out avocado. Right. The next thing we're going to do is add some fresh lime juice because we don't want the avocado to turn brown. And I'm going to cut it in half by using a tunnel shape with my knife right in the center, holding it steady so it doesn't roll around. And we will just juice, I think we'll start with half of the lime. When I taste it later, if I think it needs a little more lime juice in it, I can always add more. That one, okay. And I'm going to put in my clove of garlic. I'm just going to crush it with my knife and take the skin off before I put it in. So in order to do that, what I like to do is just put the blade of my knife facing away from me, hold the handle really firmly, and kind of use the heel of my hand right here, staying away from the sharp part of the blade, and kind of just push it down. If you didn't feel comfortable doing this, you could always sort of cut the end off or use a paring knife and peel your garlic in whatever way you're comfortable. Right, so there's my garlic. And the last thing we're going to do is add our spices. I've got half a teaspoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of chili powder. If I had a jalapeno, I would probably add it to this mix too because I like things to be spicy, but I don't have one today, so I'll just have to use my imagination. Okay, I'm gonna put the top on and give it a blend. I'm going to scrape down my sides here just to make sure everything in there is getting really smooth. I especially want the garlic to get finely chopped up so nobody gets a big chunk of garlic in their mouth when we're eating this later. Once this is nice and smooth, I'll put my black beans in. Alright, it's nice and smooth. Oh, it smells so good. It's almost like a really smooth guacamole right now, so we're going to make it even better with these black beans, which I always have in my pantry. I use them all the time. They're super healthy. They're very versatile. These will go in. If this mixture seems like it's thick and it's not blending to a really smooth consistency, you can always add in a little bit of water. We're also gonna add 1 teaspoon of olive oil to this. And if you really wanted to make it like a creamy dairy-based sort of dip, you could always add a tablespoon or 2 of some Greek yogurt or something like that. Alright, I'm going to taste this, make sure it has enough salt and pepper, and that it tastes the way that I want it to. So, got my little chef spoon in my pocket here. Oh, it's so good. It's not too garlicky for my taste, but it does need a little salt and pepper. So So I'll add about a half a teaspoon of salt, which I actually haven't done yet. And I was using low sodium beans, so it makes sense that it would need a little bit of seasoning. Okay, I'll blend that in and that will be done, and we'll move on to making our tortilla chips. So we're gonna serve this black bean dip with tortilla chips, which of course you can buy at the store. Those tortilla chips are always fried, so they're higher in fat than the ones that we're going to make today. I happen to have some whole grain tortillas here because that's what they had at the store. And what I'm gonna do first is brush them with a little bit of olive oil. And then I'll season them up and cut them into wedges that look like the shape of tortilla chips. And we're gonna bake these in the oven. So the difference between baked chips and fried is just that there's a whole lot less fat, but they do get plenty crispy to serve with a dip like this. So I'll start by putting some olive oil in a small bowl. Only about 2 teaspoons. And then I'm gonna use a brush to brush the tortillas on both sides. All right, so now that my tortillas are coated in oil, I can season them a little bit. Chips are often salty, and so what we're going to do is just sprinkle a very small pinch of salt on each tortilla. And slice them into wedges. So we'll do that in a sort of a fraction style. I always do this with my students in cooking classes. It's a great way to visualize what fractions really look like. So here I have a whole tortilla. I'm gonna take it down into 2 halves. And then each half can turn into a quarter by cutting that in half. So now we have quarters here. And then from there, you can go into eighths one more time. Right. And here is what our chips will end up looking like. So right now you can see that they're not crispy, but after they come out of the oven, then they'll be fine. One of the things I like to do when I bake these to make sure they come out crispy is to not pile them on top of each other. So I'll try to lay them out so that they're not covering each other and everything has a little bit of space around it. So I will put these into my preheated oven. It's at 400 degrees, and these will take about 8 to 10 minutes, but keep an eye on them because they can turn crispy, overly crispy, pretty quickly. Take a look, our tortilla chips are done. They're out of the oven. I flipped them about halfway through, but they ended up taking about 10 minutes. And you can see that they are darker brown. They kind of toasted up in there. They also are really nice and crunchy now, so they're gonna be perfect for our dip. While they were in the oven, I cut up some carrots, peppers, and cucumber, and I decided, why not make this look nice today? We can do like a little weekend snack time, Cinco de Mayo. So I put it on a nicer plate than I normally would for just a regular snack, but there we have it. So let's give these a try. I really hope you guys try to make this at home. This is the easiest recipe. You can visit our website, sylviacenter.org. It is full of very easy recipes, full of pantry, stable ingredients that you guys can make with your families while we're home at this time. So give this one a try. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Stay well, stay safe, keep cooking. See you next time.